Negativity, the criticism that can come into our minds. I call my inner critic the underminer, a troubled wizard that would say, "Heh, George, still single, not many friends, and now you're anxious, you're pathetic. Look at everything you've been given, you are weak." That was the voice that dominated my headspace when I started my journey of understanding myself, and I found it really hard to relate to this voice. So if you are struggling with a voice that makes you feel like an imposter, that makes you feel not good enough, that criticizes you, you're not alone. To hurt is to be human. And yet the good news is that we can form a new relationship with this voice. And today in this video, I want to share with you a beautiful story that can help us identify one key thing that can get us really frustrated and annoyed and feeling like people are out to get us, and feeling like how we act around other people is determining how they act, and then us feeling bad about ourselves. I'll give some examples of what that means later. So yeah, today we're going to do a story, and then later on we're going to meditate. As always, it's a great privilege to be adventuring with you into knowing thyself, gaining clarity as to who we are and our place in the universe. Balance is possible, and we can do it if we come together to explore, to learn, to grow. So let's just jump straight into the story, and then we're going to break it down and see what you think about it. And let's begin. So there was a man who was going to go see the local Buddhist priest who lived in the local village. And the man was having troubles with his mind. He just agitated at people. He's like, people frustrate me so much. They always feel like they're blaming me for things, and it makes me feel horrible about myself. And then, they do things that make me frustrated, and I get offended at them. And I know that if I were to say, you shouldn't be like that, then I would be doing the same mistake that they are doing, which is ignorance and blaming other people. But I can't help myself. I'm getting so frustrated, so offended, and I'm making it about me, about how I'm not good enough, and I just need help. So the priest said, yeah, that sounds difficult. I hear that. Can I just ask though, aren't you the villager that almost got killed last year? And the villager said, yeah, well, I was on a hike, and then suddenly I was surrounded by wolves, and the wolves, they ran after me. I managed to climb up a tree. They were gaping at my feet, trying to gnash me. I managed to get up into this tree, and the wolves, they were circling around this tree. I was there for hours and hours and hours, hoping that the wolves would go. Eventually they did. I climbed down the tree, started trying to run for safety. The wolves smelt me and heard me, started running after me again. I had to climb back up the tree. They were gnashing at my feet again. I managed to get away. This continued for 2 whole days. I thought I was going to die. It was only after 2 days that finally there was a group of hunters going through the forest, and they scared off the wolves, and I was saved. The priest said, wow, that's I'm so glad you're here. That's a wild story. And can I just ask, were you ever offended by the wolves? Offended? What do you mean offended? Well, yeah, no, these wolves tried to kill you. They almost killed you. Were you not offended by those actions? Offended? What? How could I be offended by the wolves? They were just doing what wolves do. If I was to get offended after them, it didn't even cross my mind. And that is the story. So let me know in the comments what's coming up for you with that story. How can it apply to your life? Anything coming up? Always starting before I share my interpretation, your inner wisdom, what's coming up for you. So what does this mean about me? What am I making it mean about me? It's something that we humans do. So, for example, I held a Tai Chi class last week, and there was someone who came in late, and then halfway through one of the songs that we're beginning our beautiful Tai Chi flow, and for me that song is, and the silence that comes from it is sacred. Creating a safe container for people to move together. And then this guy halfway through this, no, like 20 seconds into the song said, excuse me, is the class going to continue like this? Is this what it's going to be for the rest of the class? And there can be like parts of me is like, well, what am I making this mean about me? Like, am I not supporting him enough? Like, what am I doing wrong? And then maybe the inner critic would come in later like, oh, wow, why did he mess that up? So that he wasn't enjoying himself. And then he had to interrupt. Like, what am I making it about me? Instead of just acknowledging that, everyone has their own experience. You can't force people to do anything. And if this guy, in my view, wasn't respecting the needs of the group, just interrupting a song, generated some frustration for me, lightly, but, just seeing this guy who's obviously struggling enough that he can't stay still for even a couple of songs. This question, what do we make it about me? So like in your relationships and conflicts, there's people that you're interacting with, like this guy in this story who's having trouble with people lying and being ignorant, and he doesn't want to then blame them, but then their actions, he's making it about him, about how he's not good enough to like manage all of this. What are you making it about you? What are you making other people's behaviors mean about yourself? Well, actually, can we acknowledge that people are on their own journey, thinking about themselves, and what a relief, right? Everyone is obsessed with themselves. They've got their own radio station of their own thoughts going on, and really, it's quite rare that other people come into that radio station. And yet, when we see other people's behavior, they're being reactive, they're shouting at you, say like a family member, is being reactive. Is it about you, or is it about them and their lack of capacity to be able to express their needs and emotions without shouting and being reactive? Yeah, maybe there was 5% you, 10% you, 15% you, 20% you, 50% you, but it's not all of you. So coming back to the underminer, the inner critic, one of the big things that the inner critic does is make it about us. What's wrong with me? And actually, this makes a lot of sense from an evolutionary perspective. If you think about children are brought up by their parents, and these parents, they go to bed after the child goes to bed, wake up before the child wakes up, delivers all the food, delivers all the warmth, can change their clothes, change their nappies. They're basically gods walking. And the kids will give lots of celebrations bow down to the parental givers, like, thank you, benevolent one, for looking after me. I will chuckle in order to celebrate you and your goodness and secretly manipulate you into still caring for me. Now, the problem is that if, a caregiver doesn't actually support this young child, this innocent, powerless child that is in complete responsibility of the adult, if it is that, that a caregiver is abusing this child, say, if we go there, then the child has two options. Either the parent is wrong or the child is wrong. Now, if the parent is wrong, that's incredibly a dangerous belief to have. Because if the parent is wrong, that means that then you're never safe and there's nothing you can do about it, because the one person or the two people that are supposed to look after you in this planet are not good and are not going to look after you. So for the young psychology of a child, that just isn't really an option. So option 2 is to make it about me, that I'm not good enough. The reason mum or dad is not looking after me properly and abusing me even, and, it doesn't have to be full abuse. Our parents, for most of us, didn't show up in their best form all of the time. There's beautiful parts to our parents and parts that, hurt. Now, for those parts that hurt us, it's safer for the child to make it about me, that I'm not good enough. Like, mum and dad don't look after me because I'm not good enough. If you think about a young baby, it's not born with a belief that it's worthless. Babies aren't born depressed. Young children aren't born depressed. So there's a belief that child has taken on in early childhood that then creates a story that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not worthy of respect. And then that feeds out unconsciously as we become adults, because there's still this child energy that is locked within us that hasn't been met by the light of awareness, our wisdom, our resources that we have now that we are adults. And so coming back to that story, is that just firstly noticing that tendency. What am I making this about me? Why am I focusing the light, criticizing myself? With this man who was getting chased by the wolves, these wolves were not out to get him because he was flawed, but instead because, that's what wolves do. This is prey. He was moving like prey. The wolves attacked him. It wasn't anything personal. Even the wolves were trying to kill him. It's not personal, mate. So, yeah, it was easy for that man not to get offended at the wolves because, that's what wolves do. And yet when, people are in our lives causing chaos, we get offended. We make it about me. Like, how could they? And so can we just remember that? Remember that. Our tendency to make it about ourselves, our tendency to get offended, and to then come back to realizing that it's not always about me. And that I'm all right. Yeah, there's areas that I can grow. There's areas that I can change. I own my stuff, that, I contribute to conflict. But also to really nourish yourself, resource yourself, that you're an awesome human being, a magnificent, mysterious manifestation of the intelligence of the universe, to resource yourself in your understanding of your place in the universe. For me, this is a spiritual thing of connecting for the Tao, connecting with the Tao, which is one language to understand our relationship to the universe. So, okay, yeah, there's parts of me and this story called George that I want to change, and like nervousness and lack of confidence. And actually, can I not always interpret the actions of other people based on that pre-existing story, and instead come into the present moment, trust myself, trust, such an important word, trust myself to navigate my life from the present moment. To notice my tendency to storytell, to make it about myself, and then to come back to presence, to let it go. So that is an option, my friends, and it comes with practice. That's the beautiful thing. Notice, center, choose. The 3 fundamental steps of mindfulness. Notice, center, choose. Notice the thought or the belief that's painful. Notice the painful experience of motion. Center, take a breath. Open up into spaciousness. Choose your response. Let it go, or act upon it, or change how you relate to the thought or feeling. Notice, center, choose. So I'd love us now to move to our meditation and to embody these ideas, because really this work transforms our lives when knowledge transforms into wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge applied. And so, yeah, it's all great, you learning and hearing stories and enjoying the knowledge, but it's got to be you understanding for yourself through your own experience, the nature of your thinking, the nature of your consciousness, and this beautiful spaciousness that can be developed through your practice. In the classic lines of Viktor Frankl, between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. And that space is your freedom and your power. So building that spaciousness, the stimulus is the other person, and the response is either I'm not good enough and I deserve this, or screw you, and aggression. There is, though, a space. Notice, center, choose. Come into that spaciousness, build it. It comes easier as you practice more. Choose your response. And one idea before we get to our meditation is just to begin to notice and to become sensitive between the difference between I think and I feel. So I think I'm unlovable. I feel unlovable. I feel unworthy. Now, is that a feeling or a belief? Because it's actually quite a powerful act to replace the word feel with think. Not I feel unworthy, I think I am unworthy. Not I feel unvaluable, I think I am unvaluable. Here's a challenging one. I feel overwhelmed. Is that a thing? I feel overwhelmed, or is it I think I'm overwhelmed? Yes, overwhelmed. Yeah, we can get to such intensity that we shut down. So I guess that you could say that's overwhelmed. But the concept of overwhelmed, I am overwhelmed right now, actually then limits your ability to be with your present moment experience. I'm overwhelmed. I'm shutting down. Versus, wow, there's a lot moving through me right now and I'm struggling to talk. Do you see how much more empowering that second option is? So I think I'm overwhelmed. I'm telling myself I'm overwhelmed. Can I be with this moment? And what we're building as we notice and to choose is our capacity, our window of tolerance, the window of tolerance of experiences that we can be with. And the more that we can challenge ourselves and then breathe in that challenge, breathe in that spaciousness, then our window of tolerance expands and expands and expands. And then suddenly the things that used to trigger us and challenge us in life are no longer. We can stay with it. Beautiful. Yum, yum, yum. More beautiful life is available. So before we get to our meditation, a quick shout out to the YouTube membership, the Patreon. If you click the join button just below the channel area, then you can join and support the channel. Balance is Possible is the name of our organization. 15 people in the team now. And we are looking to build this membership so that we can fund the work that we're doing to reach more people. So yeah, really grateful for your support. And if you click join, then you get weekly live sessions. I'm doing the first 3 or 4 are going to be public, but then they're going to be members only, so you won't be able to see them. And you can also then chat. There's going to be a community space. So there's loads of learning available for you. And future weeks we'll be doing more movement as well. So this is a time for you to every week be dedicating yourself to your practice. I would love to support you. And all you need to do is click the join button and then you can join for the adventure and support the mission. All right, beautiful beings. So grateful for your presence, regardless if you join or not. And I would love for us to share a meditation together and to, notice and to choose. Notice the reality of thinking and beliefs and to really find some clarity as to who you are and this beauty and potential that you have right here in this present moment. So you can be sitting any way that you'd like to, maybe closing the eyes or just gazing downwards. And we'll begin by landing with the breath. So seeing if you can find your breath. Breathing in and out through your nose, if that's available to you. Slowing the breath down. Relaxing the face, allowing the forehead and the eyes to soften. The cheeks and the jaw. Relaxing, unwinding. Slow, kind, mindful breathing. And breathing down into the belly. As you breathe in, releasing stomach tension, sending the breath deep down into you. And then as you breathe out, a slight contraction, pushing the air back out. No movement in the shoulders or the chest. All of the movement is in the relaxing of the stomach, creating spaciousness for your lungs to expand. And an invitation for us to try some box breathing together. If this feels too slow for you, you can always breathe in your own rhythm. An invitation to breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath for 4, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out for 4, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath out for 4, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in, relaxing the belly, breathing down and deep. Holding the breath, relaxing the face, softening, and breathing out. Nice and slow to begin. The breath hardly audible, silent, holding the breath out, relaxing into the hold. Breathing in, relaxing stomach tension, feeling the breath sink deep down into you. Holding the breath, softening the face, and breathing out, nice and slow. Holding the breath out. Breathing in, relaxing stomach tension, sending the breath deep down into you. Holding the breath. And breathing out. Holding the breath out. Breathing in. Holding the breath. And breathing out. Holding the breath out. Last one, breathing in. Can you drop deeper into presence now? Holding the breath. And breathing out. Holding the breath out. And continuing to breathe slow and mindfully. Watching the breath come in and out through your nostrils. Can you slow your breath even more now? How gentle, how slow can you make your breath? Can you make your breath so slow that you can barely perceive it? In and out through the nostrils. When the breath becomes so subtle that you can barely perceive it, this is called Taoist true breathing. A gentle, relaxing breath. Is there anything stopping you from dropping into presence even deeper? An invitation to let it go. Giving yourself the gift of your own presence. And if it isn't moving, that's fine as well. Compassion to what is here. So now we are grounded with the breath. I'd like to invite an experience of the notice-centered choose. So I'd like you to bring to mind a challenge that you've been having recently. Maybe something that's been getting you down, where your inner critic has been more active. A situation you've been judging yourself with. And inviting some of that energy in a way that doesn't overwhelm you. So something that feels safe, not too intense. Calling to mind maybe what happened, what was said, some of the thoughts that have been coming into your mind. And as you call some of that energy in, noticing, is there anything happening on your body? Any sensations? Notice. What is happening inside of you? And can you be with it? To say yes to that experience, not yes, I want you, but yes, here you are. To expand your window of tolerance, to be able to stay with challenge in a way that feels safe. So calling in some of that intensity in a way that feels safe, self-criticism. And now moving on to our second stage, we've noticed the sensations, what's happening inside of us. Can we be with it? The compassion that arises through noticing. And now an invitation to center. So let's take a deep breath together. Invitation to breathe in and to breathe out. Breathe in, coming to your center now, your place of perspective and wisdom. Allowing the face to soften if it can, breathing out. Opening up into more spaciousness. See if you can hold that experience that you were just with in a bigger space now. Whatever that looks like for you. So with the breath already, we've connected with the breath and the intensity. Can you open up into your wisdom, your perspective, your center? Breathing down into the belly, releasing stomach tension. So now I invite you to come back to the intensity, the thing that you've been working with, the thoughts, critical thoughts, challenging experience. After having taken that breath and opened up into more spaciousness, has anything changed? Maybe the intensity is a little less. Maybe you feel a bit more resourced. Maybe nothing has changed, and that's fine as well. Because the breath and the intensity can exist in the same place. But what so many of us don't realize is that the breath is available. So the invitation to take one more breath before we move on to our next stage. Invitation to breathe in and to breathe out. So notice, center, choose. Now on choose, is that from this place of more perspective and wisdom, how could you navigate this challenge? Seeing what comes up. From your place of empowerment, perspective, wisdom, joy, ease. That's already the truth of who you are. The center, the core of your being. It's just we lose connection with it. If you were to act from that place, how would you change your response to the experience? So it could be you just let it go. If it's anger, resentment, sadness, if you don't feel you need to hold on to it anymore, can you let it go? To breathe it out. Or maybe action is needed. What action could you take? Or changing how you relate to it. if letting it go doesn't feel right, or if there isn't much action to take right now, can you meet this experience with a new sense of compassion, spaciousness? Yes, you too. Just here is just okay. Beautiful. An invitation to give yourself a hug, squeezing your arms, just giving yourself some care, some consideration, some compassion, some gratitude for all the work that you're putting in on your way, taking your steps, doing your work, giving thanks, if that feels sincere. And then beginning to bring some movement into the body, maybe some shoulder rolls. And then gently beginning to come back into our space together. Welcome. Opening the eyes. Notice, center, choose. Simple, powerful. And noticing in that experience of noticing, compassion is already there. What's happening inside of me? Can I be with it? Centering, taking the breath. There's three core centers that we can lead our lives from. So the physical centers, when just normally we're stuck in our head in the underminer, the inner critic. The physical center is to come to the breath or to bring my awareness into my body. Another center is what we could call the spiritual center, or consciousness itself, awareness, opening up into spaciousness. And you may have experienced during that meditation, it's like, wow, like these are just thoughts. These are just thoughts. They don't have to be true. I don't have to identify with them. I can change how I relate to my thoughts. I can change my beliefs. When we open up into the spiritual center, or being with awareness itself, noticing thoughts arising and passing, then that is how then we gain perspective. So that's another center. And then another center is what we could call the wise self center. This calm, connected, curious, confident, creative core of our being that with training we can connect more and more with. Notice and to choose. How could you use that energy, that structure in your life? Welcome, Louise, to the weekly live calls. Great to have you in the group. And a reminder that if you want to support me and my team, Balance is Possible, and get loads of learning, these live streams will eventually be for members only. And you click the join button, join the weekly call group. You can support our mission to inspire balance for people and planet. We're looking to raise more money so we can pay for the expansion of the team. And so you can really support us with that. One more thing is that I'm doing 2 retreats this year, one in London, one in Wales. Awaken your potential, a time to come from the digital into the physical. It's a really magic space to be in, all of us moving and breathing and meditating together. If you go to balancespossible.com, you'll be able to find more information. There's a link in the description as well. Great. Thank you so much for your presence. Sending you my best wishes for your practice, for your healing, and hope to see you next week.